Smoking in some public places is a real danger to many people in the community. Illnesses that are not seen on the outside can be greatly affected by the effects of secondhand smoke coming from cigarettes, cigars, pipes, or other forms of tobacco products. Although smoking is every citizen's right, and they should be allowed to do it in public places, it is also the right of those who choose not to smoke to be protected from the effects of smoking. Smoking needs to be banned in certain public places, but why? Why is it so important? In the tobacco of a common cigarette, there are at least 7,000 chemicals with each inhale of the smoke. Most of those chemicals are extremely toxic and leak into the air that someone passing by may inhale, which is the exact definition of secondhand smoke. Secondhand smoke is a known human carcinogen. In other words, it's known to cause cancer. It consists of two forms: side stream smoke, which is the smoke coming from the lighted end of the cigarette, or mainstream smoke, which is being exhaled from the smoker. These two types of smoke are not as similar as one would think, and side stream smoke carries more of the toxins and dangers of the two. Side stream smoke has a higher concentration of the cancer-causing agents. The carcinogens make side stream smoke so much more toxic than mainstream smoke, and they know how to get to the lungs. The particles these carcinogens travel in are smaller than those of mainstream smoke, which makes the travel much easier to the lungs. Contact with all these dangers that secondhand smoke is responsible for are found in more places than you would think. There are areas in which it would be totally unfair to ban the ability to smoke, and there are places where it would do more harm than good to keep smoking able. In places like a workplace, restaurants, or indoor recreational areas, smoking really isn't fair to non-smokers. Smoking inside these areas completely fill the air. Even with designated sections or areas for people who smoke, the non-smoking sections are still filled with the smell of smoking, and people still will have the effects of secondhand smoke. Public transportation and vehicles in general carry a huge weight when it comes to secondhand smoke because of the lack of space. The smaller the space, the more smoke is going to be inhaled by a non-smoker. Sadly, in some places that occupy children, there are smoking sections and areas for adult workers. Child care centers, such as daycares or schools, are kept free of the dangers of secondhand smoke. There are simple solutions that may not totally satisfy both sides of the argument, but it can meet both needs of the side and problems such as creating an outdoor smoking area for employees in a workspace, or separate cars and subways or trains for people who smoke to protect the non-smokers. But as far as small cars or places occupying children, those situations should be reevaluated and hopefully prevented. There are many different steps that could be taken that could satisfy both smokers and non-smokers, and with those steps, the health of many people could be saved. Even if you don't really mind one way or another, think about what could be done for those who do. In my family, I have relatives with severe asthma who have to be careful at what restaurant they go to, what bowling alley they play at, and what movie theater to go to and watch movies at, and other things that places that other people don't have to worry about. Just by putting limitations on where smoking should be allowed in or around public areas could help this significantly. In other circumstances, where children are involved, multiple illnesses and lifelong medical issues can be prevented, or at least the risk of them can be lowered, by banning smoking in or around the places where these children are frequently. Banning smoking in some public areas, like the ones previously mentioned, who would not be taking the right away from someone who chooses to smoke, but would be giving someone who doesn't want to smoke, or someone who's too young to think of what they want or need, the ability to breathe clean air. You could help make a difference in the lives of people by evening the scale. Imagine a young college student named Todd. Todd is a gifted soccer player who plays for a great team. In his time at school, he picks up a job at a local diner. The employees and management are great, and the people he serves are generous and pleasant. He notices quickly, though, that smoking is allowed in the restaurant, and at first it doesn't bother him because he himself isn't a smoker, so he doesn't worry about it too much. But after a while, Todd begins to develop a cough, and he can't breathe as well. He begins to notice that during practice he can't keep up with his teammates as easily and has a harder time breathing and catching his breath. Over the years, as Todd still goes to college and continues to work at the diner, he is promoted to a new position as manager at his job, and he still loves it. But he can't keep up with his teammates, even worse now. One day at practice during his drills, he had a severe asthma attack and wouldn't have made it had not one of his teammates had an inhaler with him. Todd went to the doctor, and the doctor tells Todd that he has bronchiectasis, which is a permanent lung damage condition. He will suffer from asthma-like symptoms for the rest of his life and needs to have an inhaler at all times. Todd is forced to stop playing soccer, and he has to quit his job. What he came to learn and love is suddenly taken from him, and he's left with college expenses to pay after he lost his soccer scholarship and job. He's forced to drop out of college because he has no way to pay for it anymore. Secondhand smoke took so much away from Todd. But what would happen if his story changed? Let's take a look at Todd's story in a different way. All of the beginning is the same, except this time somebody spoke up about the smoking in the restaurant. It put an end to the smoking in the restaurant, and it was totally banned. Todd's lungs, along with his career and sport opportunities, were saved. You could be that someone that spoke up to save someone's life. Speaking up could be all it takes to provide a smoke-free environment. Simply going and speaking to management of the establishment could put into motion or even solidify a change that has been in the works. You could help save the lives of the 200 to 500 people who die from secondhand smoke effects every year. All it takes is one person to take a stand, and I challenge you today to be that person.